should you bet to win the AFC and NFC championship games? Welcome, football fans, iron gamblers, and all of my degenerates. It's Mitch here to break down and give you my early leans and early picks for the conference championship games, the NFC championship, the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams for the third time. And on the other side, the Denver Broncos, led by their backup Jarrett Stidham, a former New England Patriot, taking on the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship. Before I begin with my breakdown of the AFC and NFC Championship games, I thank you for joining me every week here on Money Mitch. This experience, this new channel, has been awesome. I've really enjoyed it. And we only have 3 football games remaining. So, show your love. Subscribe to the channel. Gronk, spike the like button. And let's make the most of these final football games of 2025-2026. Let's get it kicked off, guys. Let's do it, man. I'm not going to start there. I'm going to wait on that one. Let's go first with the AFC Championship game, which is the first game of the day on Conference Championship Sunday. And guys, of course, let me know who you think is going to win in the comments. Let me know if you have a lean for the spread or the total in either game. The Patriots are on the road at the Denver Broncos, which, as a Patriots fan myself, can express this. This is a little bit of a house of horrors for the New England Patriots in the playoffs. The Tom Brady Patriots went to Denver the first time they lost a playoff game in the Brady-Belichick tenure. The 2005-2006 season, they lost after, I believe, 10-0 start to their playoff careers together. They lost at Denver to Mike Shanahan and Jake Plummer, the Champ Bailey game. Then in 2013 and 2015, they lost to Peyton Manning and the Broncos. 2013, the Broncos were clearly the better team. Patriots didn't have Rob Gronkowski. That one was understandable. 2015, that was the epic Broncos defense at home. And Gostkowski misses an extra point. That game would have went to overtime. But some epic games being played between the Patriots and the Broncos over the years. But all 3 times the Patriots traveled there, they lost. So as a fan, this is not going to be taken lightly going to Denver. Because this franchise has not seen a win there in the postseason, and I don't know how long. So, maybe never. I'm not sure. At least not in my lifetime. So, the Patriots are favored by 5.5. The total is 41.5. Jarrett Stidham is the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos. The Patriots are coming off 2 dominant defensive performances where they completely depleted and absolutely destroyed the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert and the Houston Texans and CJ Stroud. Now, both of those teams had weak offensive lines. The Texans were without Trent Brown on Sunday. That definitely hurt their offensive line performance a little bit. Titus Howard had to move outside. They had to replace him with a backup guard. It certainly didn't help against Barmore and Milton Williams. They lost Dalton Schultz during the game, and they didn't have Nico Collins with the concussion. On top of that, you also have the Chargers, who they didn't have any injuries outside of Alt and Slater, which we knew the whole time. They just have a terrible offensive line, probably the worst in the league. Maybe at least the worst in the playoffs, but maybe the worst in the league. It was up there. An offensive coordinator that after that game got fired, and also a quarterback with a broken hand. So CJ Stroud, he hadn't been playing well. He's super overrated. I tried to warn you guys. I tried to tell you guys. How much do we take from these defensive performances that the Patriots have really, truly been spectacular the last 2 weeks on defense? I think we can say that the Patriots are now a really, really, really good defense. I think it had to be kind of proven because their numbers in the regular season were actually pretty good. Like, they were top 10 across the board pretty much the entirety of the season defensively. They were elite stopping the run when Milton Williams played for the entirety of the year. After they got Christian Gonzalez around week 3 or week 4, they were pretty damn good against the pass as well. But we did need to see it against some of the playoff teams because everyone was kind of saying, they haven't played anybody. And now you could argue they haven't exactly played a great offense, but that's not exactly what they're going to be seeing against Denver either. Hey, Jared Stidham, even with Bo Nix, Denver's offense had been pretty mediocre, like 15th in the league, somewhere around that range. And the surprising thing about the Denver game against Buffalo is, if you would have told me that Bo Nix was the leading rusher for Denver and only had 29 yards against the Bills, one of the worst run defenses in football, and Denver found a way to win, I would have said, you're crazy. You're out of your mind. That's not going to happen, right? Well, Denver did find their way to the win. There was a few explosive plays by Bo Nix down the field. And there was also 5 turnovers by the Buffalo Bills. 5 turnovers, which was the difference in the game. Josh Allen fumbling before half, giving them a field goal. James Cook fumbling the ball in Denver territory. If you guys actually look back at that game, Buffalo was the better team. Buffalo ran the ball better. Buffalo was fairly even throwing the football. I thought they possessed the ball longer, which it shows in the stats. They had more yards. They didn't punt in the game. If Buffalo, even that game went to overtime, if they get a call by the ref here or there, they might have won that game. If that Brandon Cooks catch goes their way, they would have won that game despite 5 turnovers, and that was with Bo Nix. And to me, entering the playoffs, the best team in the AFC was the Patriots. I picked the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl before the playoffs. I've been riding the Patriots, my Patriots, all year. You guys know this. I've been saying how underrated they are. And I think the most underrated thing about them in the playoffs, it's shown up. Their defense, their secondary, Christian Gonzalez, Carlton Davis, Marcus Jones, all 3 of them forced a turnover against Houston. Christian Gonzalez had a strip. Marcus Jones had a pick 6. Carlton Davis had 2 interceptions. Carlton Davis is a guy to watch. On the injury report, he did leave with a concussion, but I think he'll be okay. I think it's kind of similar to the Gonzalez situation from last week. Their pass rush, their pressure, their hybrid coverages, their variety of looks that they're giving offenses and confusing offenses, I think has been extremely impressive. They're basically impenetrable when it comes to run defense. And so when we break down this game, it's a backup quarterback in Jared Stidham who hasn't really played in a long, long time. Like, he's started, I'm going to look, but I'm pretty sure he started like 4 games in the NFL. His best game, I believe, came against the 49ers for the Raiders. Or maybe for the Broncos. I think for the Raiders. He's started 4 games. He's 1-3. He's thrown 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He has a 59% completion percentage. He played in New England, so there's a lot of factors here. New England knows this guy. Jared Stidham, who wanted to draft him? Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels wanted to draft him back in 2019 to be maybe somebody they could develop underneath Tom Brady. He was the backup for Tom Brady in 2019, the last year that Brady was there. McDaniels really liked him. They almost started him in 2020 until they were able to pick up Cam Newton. That's how much Josh McDaniels liked this kid. Then Josh McDaniels goes to Vegas in 2022. Jarrett Stidham joins him in Las Vegas. He ends up getting 2 starts in 2022. He goes 0-2, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But the main point here being that McDaniels has scouted Jarrett Stidham. McDaniels knows Jarrett Stidham. He knows his strengths. He knows his weaknesses better than probably any coach in the league, maybe even more so than Sean Payton. Sean Payton paid him a pretty penny to come to Denver in 2024 to be a premier backup for Bo Nix. Stidham has a good arm. I scouted him way back in 2018, 2019. I liked him, actually. He was a 4th-round pick coming out of Auburn. He was a guy that actually was looked at as maybe a first-round talent early in his college career. Has a good arm. He's a passable level athlete. He's not a great runner, but he can scramble a little bit. He certainly is not as athletic, quick, shifty, or mobile as Bo Nix. I think the biggest differences between Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham are Bo Nix has a great quick trigger in the offense. He's very good at those short underneath RPOs, screens, and quick throws. He's very good at eluding defenders, pressure, and making his offensive line better by avoiding negative plays and the rush. And Bo Nix can really throw the ball down the field fairly well at times. He gets hot in that regard. Jarrett Stidham, I think, is maybe you could argue a fairly similar, if not even maybe better, pocket navigator and intermediate passer. He's actually pretty good at standing in the pocket, reading the field, and triggering in an offense and kind of reading 1, 2, 3, get the ball out. But he's not going to be able to escape like Bo Nix. He's not going to be able to throw the ball downfield like Bo Nix. And he doesn't bring as much dynamic nature to the offense as Bo Nix. He also just hasn't played literally since 2023. He hasn't played a game. He played in Denver 2 times, so that does help that he's played in Denver under Sean Payton, at least for 2 starts. So they have something to fall back on where it's like they've game planned together. They've prepared to start Jarrett Stidham at some time during this tenure. That was back in 2023. Actually, he wasn't brought in to be Bo Nix's backup. I got that wrong. He was brought in to be Russell Wilson's backup and then potentially a guy down the road that could be like a high-end backup, maybe even like a bridge quarterback option when Bo Nix was drafted. That was kind of what the idea was with him. And that was also the idea with him with the Raiders as well. That's kind of how he's always been seen, as like a top-end backup, maybe even potentially a bridge option, never really looking like a guy that was going to start in the NFL. That's kind of always what he was looked at as. And it's hard to say because there isn't any film really the last 2 years of this kid playing other than the preseason, I would assume. But Josh McDaniels knows him intimately. The Patriots organization probably knows him fairly well. Some of the players may even know him a little bit. I'm not sure how much, but definitely some of the scouts and some of the people in the building, for sure. And then that's interesting from a game planning defensive perspective and how New England will be able to prepare for this game. But there's also a little bit of early in this game. The Patriots will probably just be kind of playing conservative defensively to see what Sean Payton's going to cook up for this quarterback. Like, okay, what are we going to see here from Jarrett Stidham? What are they going to throw at us that he can do well? And what's their go-to? Because when we really break this down, I feel like Denver probably won't be able to run the ball. They couldn't really run the ball against Buffalo, who's a horrendous running defense. They're terrible. They didn't really even try to run the ball against Buffalo, which was an awkward, weird game plan that ended up working. And against New England, New England is a phenomenal run defense. You just saw what they did to Woody Marks. I think Woody Marks had under 2 yards per carry in that game. Under 2 yards per carry. He had 1.7 yards per carry after he had a great game against Pittsburgh. They rushed for 170 yards against Pittsburgh. So that's how good New England's run defense is. So it's a backup quarterback on 1 week of preparation, thrusted into action after not playing for 2 years against a defense that's on fire with one of the best cornerback groups in football, one of the best secondaries in football right now, an interior pass rush that can terrorize an opponent, a plethora of blitzes that they can throw at you, a dominant run defense to where you can't have a lot of balance. So it's going to be a lot of Jarrett Stidham having to drop back against a really good secondary. I just don't see how Denver is able to move the ball consistently in this game. They might be able to find some traction early in the game because they might catch New England off guard with a trick play or some sort of game plan that Stidham can really hone in on, and it catches New England off guard, right? But I think as the game goes on and on and on, we're going to find out that Stidham is a backup. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to find out that he just can't operate this offense the way that they want to with Bo Nix. And then on the other side of things, I think that New England's offense is actually facing the weakest defense that they've faced in the playoffs so far. Denver does have a strong defense from a numbers perspective this year, but if you've watched them recently against top-tier offenses, Buffalo, Jacksonville, even Green Bay, they have struggled. Like, literally last week, yeah, they forced some turnovers that honestly, did they force them? I mean, sort of. Like, Josh Allen kind of just, running around with one hand on the ball. Nick Bonito wrapping around the edge, and again, Allen holding the ball in the pocket. And then the interception was pretty crazy and fluky. The other interception was just a missed throw by Allen where he had the guy open. And it's like, this isn't the Texans' defense. Like, this is a good defense. I could make an argument New England's defense is the best defense in this game. And New England has the substantially better quarterback in this game. Obviously, it's MVP versus backup. Two good coaches. I think Denver's defense has been declining while New England's has been improving. I think New England has a substantially better run game. We saw Buffalo run the ball really well against Denver. I think New England could replicate some of that success with Ramondre Stevenson, the way that he's been running the ball. With Pat Surtain, maybe he could shadow Stephon Diggs a little bit, but New England has proven they have a plethora of options to go to. Kayshon Boutte just had a huge game against Derek Stingley last week, one of the best corners, maybe as good, if not better than Pat Surtain, right? You've got Demario Douglas scored a touchdown. Hunter Henry's always dangerous against these linebackers and tight ends. New England is willing to throw to their running backs. And also, Mac Hollins could be back in this game. And Mac Hollins was really good for New England when he was really a starter for them. And he went out late in the season, but he's back for this week. He's fully healthy. He had a similar injury to Sam Darnold. So I look at this game and I think that this is just kind of a mismatch, especially with the backup in. Denver doesn't have enough balance to help a backup quarterback. I don't think they have enough talent around the quarterback to really have success against a really good Patriot defense. New England is undefeated on the road this year. That's another factor. New England has explosive plays where they can beat Denver downfield. They have balance that can threaten Denver if they just play the pass. They can beat man coverage at 3 different positions with a bunch of different options. They actually thrived against man against the Texans. If Denver blitzes, Drake May's been the best quarterback against the blitz this year. Nick Bonito and the pass rush of Denver, in order for Denver to keep this competitive and close, has to dominate. And not only do they have to dominate, they have to force multiple turnovers. This is a game where they're going to have like the Texans type of game. But this game in Denver, it's not in New England. It's not going to be snowing. It's going to be cold, but sunny. So it's perfect conditions for Drake May. In fact, I actually look at this game and I think this is a defense that Drake May can thrive against. They're overly aggressive. May is excellent at throwing the ball down the field. I think that they've kind of been declining. I think that New England is going to be able to actually put up high 20s in this game. I could see them putting up 27, 28, maybe even 30 points. I think this is the type of defense that Drake May can really pick apart. And again, as long as they don't turn it over numerous times, and I'm specifically talking about strip sacks, because that's been the biggest issue with Drake May. But now that it's not a slippery football, it's not snowing, it's not raining, right? It's going to be sunny. That certainly helps ball protection. So as long as Denver's front doesn't ruin this game, I think New England wins this game going away. I think that maybe early it's close, and then as the game goes on, New England's defense starts to click and starts to find out what Denver's trying to do to them. They shut them down. They get home on Stidham, and I think they're going to be able to match up in the secondary. And then on the other side, I feel like Drake May is going to have a big, big game. I think this is his big game. The first 2 weeks of the postseason, it's been about the defense. It's been about, okay, he's made some timely throws and timely plays. But this week, I actually think this is the Drake May big performance of the playoffs so far. So I like New England -5.5. Under a touchdown, I think is ideal here. I think anything over 7 will have a different conversation. But 7 or less, I think I got to take the Patriots. Because I think they're going to win like 27-17, 30-17, somewhere in that range. I think Denver, honestly, was not the better team on Saturday. I thought Buffalo outplayed them. The reason Buffalo lost is because of turnovers. And I think New England has been the most underrated team in football all year. I think their defense is slowly but surely becoming dominant. And I think their offense has already proven itself to be very, very good. And they've recently faced very good defenses in the Chargers and the Texans. And they've been able to come out on top with enough plays to, put them over the top. And I think Denver's defense might actually be worse than the 2 that they've already played. So -5.5 Patriots, the total 41.5. I'm going to lean over because I think New England is going to score high 20s, low 30s. I think they're going to be able to score to like 27 to 30 points. And I think that is going to allow Denver, they'll probably get 14-17. So I think it will be like 44 points, somewhere in that range. I think this is too low of a total. So I would take the Patriots and I would take the over. Now, the NFC Championship game, the Los Angeles Rams, the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle -2.5. Seattle dominated San Francisco. Los Angeles has kind of barely survived against the Panthers and the Bears. 2 teams that I kind of feel like are, I don't want to say overrated, but definitely flawed playoff teams. The Panthers were below 500 and nobody took them seriously, and that game went down to the wire. And then the Chicago game, honestly, Chicago outplayed the Rams for large portions of the game. And Caleb Williams sells in overtime, and the Rams are able to come out on top. Seattle, meanwhile, the last 2 times we've seen them has been against the same opponent that they've dominated physically, and they've thoroughly beat down. Now, that's super impressive, but that being said, it's been the same opponent. The last time these 2 teams played, Seattle won in Seattle. LA won in LA. The 2 teams have been very close. If you look at yards, they're like 1 yard off between the 2 games. If you look at points, they're like 1 or 2 points off between the 2 games. It's been very competitive, very close. This game is going to be very close. This game is going to be a 1-possession game, almost guaranteed. And I think this is a fascinating matchup because I like how LA matches up against the Seahawks. I think everyone is going to be on Seattle here because they look like the best team in the playoffs. They look like the most complete team in the playoffs. And I wouldn't even argue that. I think New England is maybe more complete. They have a better offense. Seattle has a slightly better defense. But I feel like New England has a better offense, better quarterback. I think New England is more well-rounded than Seattle just by a smidge. But I think a lot of people see Seattle as the best team in the playoffs, the most dominant team for sure. And because their defense is so damn good. But I think a large reason that is because we've seen them play the 49ers, a beat-up, beat-down opponent that they clearly can coach well against, and they can expose their limitations from a personnel standpoint. And I don't think the Rams have those similar limitations. And the biggest limitation being, it's harder to run the ball on the Rams. The Rams have a much better pass rush. The Niners, I would also say the Rams have a better quarterback. The Rams have better receivers. And the Rams have a better offensive line. I think all those things are true. The Rams also have a better run game, right? Like, the Rams are pretty much better in all ways, shapes, and form outside of maybe the secondary. That's probably it. That's the only area where the Niners are better. And you look at Seattle, the last game was 38-37 in Seattle. LA was up in that game 23-7 in the third quarter. 23-7. Seattle got a 58-yard punt return by Rashid Shaheed, which set them off and set the comeback in motion. And from there, they needed a fluky 2-point conversion to be able to win that game. But most importantly about Seattle in this game, because it's harder to run the ball on the Rams than it is the Niners, I believe that Sam Darnold has to participate in the game against the Rams, which he hasn't really had to do against the Niners. He's been able to just kind of hand the ball off. He's been able to kind of just be, manage the game. He's going to have to make throws. He's going to have to make plays. Meanwhile, he is banged up entering this game. Last game, he threw 2 picks. He was sacked 4 times. In the first game, he threw 4 picks. The 2 worst games of his season were arguably against the Rams. That's arguable. Like, you look at the second game, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. The first game, 0 touchdowns, 4 picks. He has only thrown multiple interceptions in 3 games this year. 2 of them were against the Rams. Kind of speaks for itself. He was also sacked in the game against the Rams last time out 4 times. In the first game, he was sacked 0 times, but a large part of that was because he was throwing the ball to the other team instead of taking sacks, right? So we've seen that, and then you also go back to the game that he played for Minnesota against the Rams last year in the playoffs. He was horrendous in that game. You go back to that game in the playoffs that he played. 25 for 40, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He took 9 sacks. 9. So Sam Darnold has thrown 7 interceptions in the last 3 games against the Los Angeles Rams. He has been sacked 13 times in 3 games against the Rams. And he has had about a 60% completion percentage. He has never played well against them. He also fumbled the ball against the Rams in the playoff game last year. So clearly Mike Shula knows what to do against this guy. The Rams have proven they can get pressure against Seattle. The Rams, I thought that Kenneth Walker ran the ball well against the Rams in the second game, and that was a little bit of a difference maker for Seattle to be able to win that game. They ran the ball better against the Rams than I feel like they did in the first game. JSN has largely been held in check in those games. The Rams play a ton of zone, and I think they foggy the picture up for Sam Darnold. And what they do best is they don't allow you to throw the ball down the field. They make you check it down, and they allow their pass rush to get home. And so I think their defense inherently matches up well with what Seattle wants to do. Run the ball, shot plays. Run the ball, play action shots down the field. They do a good job of limiting explosive passes and stopping the run. And they also get pressure. So they're better at stopping the run than San Francisco. They're better at getting to the quarterback than San Francisco. And they also limit big plays like San Francisco. But then they have an offense that has proven they can move the ball against Seattle. And that's something that changes the game flow and the game script, because Seattle has dominated defensively this year. And this is why they win so many games. But if you look at last game, the Rams moved the ball. I mean, the Rams had 37 points and 581 yards in that game against Seattle. 581. Matthew Stafford threw for over 400 yards. That's something that no one else has done. Even in the first game, The Rams had 20, they still put up 21 points. It wasn't the best performance offensively. But that second game, 581 yards is crazy. Like, that's nuts. And the thing about the Rams is they can threaten you with their run game. And Seattle has had to adjust to that. They can beat you down the field because of Stafford's arm talent. They can beat you on the perimeter because of Devontae Adams. And they can beat you down the middle because of Puka Nacua. And they have a multi-dimensionality because of their tight ends. So I look at this game and the Rams certainly have more experience. Seahawks have the home field advantage. But I like the Rams because I like the matchup. I like the fact that the Rams are one of the few offenses who can put pressure on Seattle to actually have to throw the ball. Then I like how their defense is able to get to Sam Darnold, confuse Sam Darnold, and make Sam Darnold look like a middling quarterback. And I think that the Rams' drop-back passing game is substantially better than Seattle's. Now, I do think that the wild card here is how does Mike Macdonald adjust in the third matchup? Clearly, Sean McVay got the best of him in the second game. How does Mike Macdonald adjust in this third game against Sean McVay's offense? Stafford has also not been playing as well lately. He didn't play very well against the Falcons. He didn't play very well against the Panthers for stretches. He played well in aspects of that game. And he played really poorly against the Bears. Now, the Bears game was, I think, partly because of snow. But I don't know, man. Like, I kind of think this is a matchup game. And I like the Rams. The Rams have looked like the worst team throughout the playoffs so far and at the late stages of the season. But they're healthy. They're not really missing anyone. Zach Charbonnet did go down for Seattle. I think that does hurt them to have that balanced backfield that they look for, to have that also better pass catcher than Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker is the better back, in my opinion. More explosive. He was more efficient against the Rams running the ball as well. But I don't know. I like this matchup for the Rams. I like the experience edge. I like the quarterback edge, most importantly. And the biggest thing maybe perhaps is that Puka Nacua has not been proven to be stopped against the Seahawks. I think last time they played, he had 200 yards. That might be the biggest reason why the Rams can move the ball against them, because Puka Nacua is just that unstoppable. And, maybe they can put the clamps on him. Maybe Witherspoon can do a better job in this game, but we'll see. Like, I think there's kind of an unproven aspect of Mike Macdonald being able to shut down Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. I think Stafford's had every answer for Mike Macdonald so far. And even dating back to the Baltimore game against the Rams in 2023, right? Even dating back to that game. So, yeah, I kind of like the Rams. I'm not going to lie. Now, 47.5. I think I like the under just because it's the third game these two teams are playing. I think the Rams will play well defensively because I think they match up well defensively with Seattle. And I also think Seattle's defense will adjust. I think Seattle's defense is too talented, too good. The way that Stafford's been playing lately, I don't think he's putting up 400 yards in this game like he did in the second game, right? I even think to a certain degree that like the Panthers and the Bears have kind of found a formula of how to attack the Rams. That is play man coverage. That is blitz. And I wonder how much Seattle does that because they don't do that very often. They play a lot of zone and they rush 4. So I wonder if they try to deviate from what they typically do. That's a question for Mike Macdonald, but even so, I think that the Seahawks can create enough pressure. I think they can stop the run because they've proven that all year. And the Seahawks' noise and environment also plays a big factor in a huge game. It's also going to be probably colder than the Rams are used to at this time of year in the Pacific Northwest. So I would lean under. I think it will be close to 47.5. I think the score that's coming to mind is 24-21. I think closer to the first game than the second game. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But under and the Rams by like a field goal. That's my guess here. There it is, guys. My early leans and picks for the NFC and AFC championship games. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, Gronk spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to check out Patreon because I'll have all my AFC, NFC championship bets there on Patreon for just $5 a month. Peace, guys.